Before I begin anything else, Lord, I want to place this entire day into your hands. Father, I surrender my plans, my thoughts, my responsibilities, and every situation I may face today. You already know what lies ahead, and I trust that your plans for me are good. Guide my steps and help me walk according to your wisdom and purpose. Lord, when challenges arise today, help me remain calm and confident in you. Replace every fear with faith, every worry with peace, and every doubt with trust in your promises. Remind me that I never walk alone because your presence goes before me and stays beside me throughout this day. Father, I ask for your protection over me, my family, and everyone I love. Keep us safe from harm, danger, sickness, negativity, discouragement, and every attack of the enemy. Let your angels surround us, and let your peace rest upon our hearts and homes. Lord, bless the work of my hands today. Open doors of opportunity, favor, wisdom, and breakthrough according to your perfect will. Help me remain patient, focused, and faithful in everything I do. Give me strength when I feel weak and peace when stress tries to overwhelm me. Father, help me speak words that encourage others and let my actions reflect your love and kindness. Teach me to walk in humility, patience, compassion, and wisdom throughout this day. Lord, today I choose to trust you completely. Even when I cannot see the full picture, I know you are working all things together for my good. Help me let go of the things I cannot control and place them fully into your hands. Fill my heart with gratitude and joy this morning. Thank you for every blessing you have already given me and for the blessings still on the way. Thank you for your faithfulness that never fails and for the peace that only you can give. Father, I commit this entire day into your loving care. Lead me, protect me, strengthen me, and help me honor you in all that I do today. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. If you are placing this day into God's hands, type amen.
Amen. One more, you guys. One more I got to play. Four minutes.
I'm tired, Lord, bones heavy, spirit warm. People playing games, pulling threads I never chose. Jasper truth in the fire, still standing on your word. Even when the world feels like it's closing in slow. I'm not bitter, just weary in this silent storm. Same weight on my shoulders, same groan in my bones. I'm tired, but you hold me. When the noise gets violent, you sing over me softly. Holy Spirit, breathe slow. Come revive my soul. Jasper's just a vessel. I just wanna go home. I'm tired, but I'm yours still. Every tower falling, every fear you will still. Call me to the garden where the river runs pure. I lay it all down. I lay it all down. I love the way the wind talks Nobody's near, bare feet on the earth, no mask, no fear. Just the truth in the garden where the river runs pure. No towers, no shedding, just your love that endures. Let the remnants sing, let the weary rise. Just the truth still crying. Jesus split the skies. All the mind games, all the buzzing lies, they will fade away when you open up our eyes. I'm tired, but you hold me. Even now you're carrying what I can't see. Holy Spirit, fill me till I overflow. Come quickly, Jesus. Jasper, truth is coming home. I'm tired, but I'm not alone. Jasper, truth, I'm going home.
Amen and amen. And that's for a couple of things. Last night, sorry I couldn't do the show last night. I got sick. And then also, this is going to be the last 8 days. This is supposed to be everybody saying these next all the way from now till July 4th. So that's for everybody hopes and praying about hopefully something will happen as far as doing that. So amen, amen. We got Lucy in prayers. Linda, how's it going? Paul, thanks, Lucy. Hi, Mom. Hope your daughter feels better. So I had to stop and do the music a couple times, so I hope I did it right. So we got to get back and doing Billy Bean. We have to do Billy Bean first, as we missed her last night. So we'll get her first one out of the way. I got to find her here. Hold on. Oh, I got a new Mel video too. We're playing that after Billy. And I got a Tony video. God dang it. I didn't know what to do.
Iran now firing on
Yeah, Linda, I didn't know how that type of music, but I figured that was a good one to play.
ships in the Strait of Hormuz,
12 minutes
and Ukraine getting ready to hit Belarus.
yesterday.
So let's get started. We'll begin by some weather updates in the state of Texas. Last night we had tornadoes in the central and north and west parts of Texas. Today we have thunderstorms all the way from the south coast to about central Texas. So that's going on. And we have also my paper sticking together. We have also from Judge Napolitano's recent interview with Larry Johnson, former CIA, that one of the reasons President Trump brought about the memorandum of understanding with Iran was that global reserves of oil and gas were due to
You hear the first video?
go to empty in about 4 weeks. And we have this from Benny Johnson, that the FBI now in Los Angeles is investigating valid votes for Nikki Rahman, the number 2 Democrat, to go on to compete then in the fall for mayor of Los Angeles, pushing out Spencer Pratt. Now it's been noticed that the ballots that went to Nikki Rahman came primarily from the downtown Los Angeles area from homeless people. So the FBI is investigating. And we have this. Oh, and Spencer Pratt intimates that he's got some audio goods on either Karen Bass or Nikki Rahman. So this will be fun. So we have also flash flooding in Texas, flash flooding occurring overnight in Dallas. And we expect thunderstorms and flash flooding today in central Texas. So that's going on. And we have this from 2CTV earlier this morning regarding Israel. So 2CTV interviewed a president of a Republican Party located in Israel. What's up with that? Mark Zell, who contacted his counterparts in Washington, D.C., to find out what's up with this MOU, and says that President Trump, is in a high pressure position regarding the Strait of Hormuz, global oil supply, and the upcoming fall midterms. So it's believed that President Trump then brought about this cessation of fireworks between the U.S. and Iran to facilitate 2 things. One is to ease the global problem and availability of oil and gas, to take the U.S. stock market up, to take the price of oil down. I understand it's down about $80 a barrel, and to maintain a ceasefire 60 days, maybe repeating that again, to move past the midterms. So that's going on. And we have this from Navy Channel. The Ukraine has asked the U.S. for 180 Patriot air defense missiles, and they're only getting 65. And we have this, that Hezbollah today killed 4 IDF Israel soldiers. As Hezbollah hit Israel, Israel defended itself, and during the course of that defense, 4 Israeli soldiers were killed. The U.S. wants a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Now recall, Hezbollah is not a part of Lebanon, is not a part of the Lebanon government, nor the Lebanon military. Hezbollah is a terrorist group put into Lebanon by Iran and directed and paid by Iran. So Iran, the IRGC, is directing Hezbollah to hit Israel, and naturally Israel defends itself because the IRGC wants to sabotage the Memorandum of Understanding. So that's going on. And we have this from Enforcer today that late this afternoon, then Iran said the Strait of Hormuz is closed and Iran has begun firing on commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. I say this to President Trump, that with some crazies, the only thing you can do is neutralize them with extreme prejudice. So that's going on. And I'd like to bring this out, a channel I came across recently, Food Brands Exposed, talking about what's the best kind of rice. And it appears that rice that grows in California absorbs less arsenic from the natural soil. But the channel Food Brands Exposed also gives you a method of clearing arsenic that occurs naturally in the soil from your rice, an extra step in the cooking process. So that's available. We have this from Real Raw News. Okay. The B-52 I reported was vaporized recently at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Really was vaporized. And now it comes out. The B-52 was carrying a experimental laser called the petawatt laser, which is capable of locking onto a target and vaporizing it. The plane was also carrying experimental AI-operated radar. It's now coming out that it's possible that this laser, with or without some interaction with the experimental AI radar, as soon as the plane was off the runway, activated the laser, experimental laser within the plane and vaporize the plane. Because all that was left of that B-52 strategic bomber was a dark spot on the ground. So that's coming out. And this experimental laser that can vaporize targets is much, much stronger than any existing DEW, and also raises the possibility of sabotage. So that's going on. And I do have a list of the 8 people who passed away on the B-52. We had Colonel Gregory Watson, Lieutenant Colonel Gabriel Estala, retired Lieutenant Colonel Miles Middleton, Major Alexander Davis, Major Robert D., Major Brad Hovey, and 2 Boeing employees, Jeremy Smith and Christopher Riskar. So we say, rest in peace. And what do we have going on now in the war situation? From Enforcer, We have this morning that Zelensky gave a public announcement that it gives Belarus 1 week to withdraw its troops from the border between Ukraine and Belarus, or Ukraine will hit Belarus. So expanding the war in with Ukraine. Now, I have some U.S. intel information about this Ukraine-Belarus situation.
Just about over.
That talks about Zelensky contacting Belarus and telling Belarus they had to remove from the border between Ukraine and Belarus electronic repeaters, which are affecting artillery and other things inside Ukraine, causing Ukraine to hit Ukraine civilian areas. And if they're not removed within 1 week, then Ukraine would strike Belarus. Further, Zelensky said also inside Belarus, their oil refinery industry is supporting Russia, which intimates that Ukraine would hit oil refineries inside Belarus. And it's coming out. Zelensky would never have made these comments publicly without either the instigation and certainly the okay of both the U.S. and Europe. So that's going on. So this concludes my flash. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, that was last night. I got 5 short ones, and then I'm going to do the 30-minute Mel video from last night. And then I did have a cat lady from last night, but can't find her video, but we'll get to her later on. And so, yeah, I want to get the 5 shorts. You can do like 5 and 5, and in between the videos, 20-minute ones. I do got taped videos of the new Air Force One if you guys didn't see those yet. And the first one is going to be the update from the stabbing or something they had out.
Just moments ago, we obtained new evidence from Carmelo Anthony trial, including body camera video and a 911 call audio.
This is
from the moments after Anthony stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf to death. In the 911 call, you can hear bystanders trying to revive Metcalf. We want to warn you, this audio may be difficult to hear. Here's a portion.
He is laying here. He is starting to go unconscious.
How old is he?
High school age, so maybe 15, 16, 17.
Okay. Is he awake?
No, he's going unconscious.
Okay. Is he breathing?
Not right now.
Breathing?
No, he's not.
He's not breathing at all?
No.
Okay. Where was he stabbed at?
In his chest.
Okay. I've got them coming, okay? Stay on the phone with me, all right?
Okay.
Is the assailant still nearby?
Okay. I'm here.
Is the assailant still nearby? Hey.
Is he breathing? Yes, ma'am.
Is the assailant still nearby?
This is the first time the public is seeing these images on your screen since cameras were not allowed in the courtroom during trial. Carmelo Anthony, who is convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison, can be seen running from the tent where him and Metcalf struggled. The knife that was used to strike Metcalf once in the heart is a lot larger than many of Anthony's defenders made us believe. Later, during Anthony's arrest, he was very cooperative with police and can be heard crying as he admits to stabbing Metcalf.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
Joining us now is Randy Zellin, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, and Jesse Weber, host of Jesse Weber Live. Great to see both of you. So, Jesse, let's start with you. Hearing the audio, looking at the body camera footage, gives you a new perspective, given that we haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I think it just highlights how incredibly sad this is, how incredibly tragic this is, the chaotic nature of it. I also saw outlets publishing some of the more gruesome photos in the aftermath of this. I don't think it changes the legal case. I don't look at this and say, oh my gosh, I don't understand how Anthony was convicted, but it definitely humanizes this. It puts a face on this. And even hearing the body cam footage where you do hear Anthony say, I'm not alleged, I did it. That was a key piece of evidence for the prosecution, but you also hear him crying there. This was an incident that should not have happened, and it's a tragedy that should not have happened. But, you know, I do look at this from a legal perspective, and when I think about the jury seeing all this, I do wonder, and I'm curious Randy's perspective on this as well, is the defense going to say this was too prejudicial, that there were certain aspects of this the jury shouldn't have seen, that it was, you know, seeing this amount of blood or seeing, you know, the stab wounds, is that necessary? Did that inflame them? Did that influence their decision in any way? I don't know if that's going to be a winning argument, but that's just something from a legal perspective. But I just see this more from a human perspective.
Yeah, it seems like they could make that case, but it is part of the crime. Randy, to Jesse's question, what stands out to you the most in this released body camera footage?
At the risk of sounding like a Monday morning quarterback, which quite frankly, after 38 years, I think I have earned the right to do. The question for me is, what the hell were you thinking when you chose to take this case to trial? And don't tell me it was because you were playing the race card. In the O.J. Simpson case, O.J. Simpson's defense was the real killer is still out there. In this case, you have the killer admitting, I'm the killer. You have the killer admitting, I was not justified because I met undeadly force with deadly force. He put his hands on me. Putting your hands on me doesn't give me the right to stab you. That is meeting undeadly force with deadly force. When you see the video of this man running away, this young man running away, that is consciousness of guilt. When you hear him saying, no, I'm not the alleged killer, I am the killer. It just leaves you thinking, yes, the human tragedy, how this was so unnecessary, but from a legal standpoint, my God, whether it was $6 million or $600,000 in a GoFundMe account, this case should have never gone to trial.
Yeah, Jesse, I mean, there's been a lot of narrative building around this case when we haven't seen all of the evidence that was presented to the jury. Some of that is coming out now, which, of course, we were just showing and listening to. But the size of the knife that Carmelo Anthony used has been downplayed in the media by Anthony's supporters. People said that it was a tool or a Swiss Army knife. That's not the kind of knife that it is. It's a much larger knife than that. We even have members of Congress like Jasmine Crockett weighing in and saying that Anthony is innocent, despite him saying that he did this. What about the narrative around this when people don't have, in any case, the same information that the jury does, but they think that they know what happened?
2 points to that. This is why you need cameras in every courtroom. Let me say that again. This is why you need cameras in every courtroom. You don't have to see every single crime scene photo, but transparency is the key. Transparency is the cure to misinformation. Look, that knife became a key issue in this case. You heard the defense really talk about the size of it and saying it wasn't necessarily legal for him to have. He had a right to have it. But the problem for the defense is it was never articulated why he had it at that moment in time. That is clearly a deadly weapon. And as Randy has said and has been said countless times during the course of this case, when you use self-defense, when you use deadly force, it has to be proportional. And using that weapon, considering what he was up against, and he claimed, his defense claimed that it was people that were larger than him and that they were surrounding him, and then you couple that with the wound, and people can go on online and now see it, I think that proved to be very difficult to argue that this was a case of valid and reasonable self-defense.
But Randy, I mean, doesn't reasonable self-defense vary from state to state?
Well, not really, because from state to state, and I think what you might be touching upon is stand your ground laws, where do you have an obligation to retreat? But from state to state, it's pretty much proportionality, as Jesse mentioned, which means you meet force with force, you meet deadly force with deadly force. That's proportionality. There's a reasonable person standard, which is what would a reasonable person do in this situation from a justification standpoint. So no, I think across the board, this case would not have had a different result in a different state. You might have had a different result in a different state with a different defense attorney who might have seen the wisdom to negotiating either a reduced plea with the prosecution or negotiating a reduced sentence with a judge.
We've got great news for seniors. The Social Security Administration has made a small final.
Just about over.
So Jesse, on the sentencing aspect of it, of course, the family asked for some mercy, given how young he is, going to prison for 35 years. That was, applicable in terms of what the jury was listening to. He was also cooperative, Carmelo Anthony, with police. He was clearly shaken up by what had just occurred, despite him admitting that he stabbed Metcalf and it died as a result of that. So in terms of what we see moving forward and the issue of potential parole, does that aspect come into it at all?
First of all, he's going to be in prison for a very long time. I think if you speak to attorneys in that jurisdiction, they don't see him getting out before 20 years. Now, I think there was a number of considerations the jury had here. One, the circumstances surrounding the stabbing, his age. But at the end of the day, this was a murder. And while there were those who thought that it should be less, there were others who thought that this should be more. There's no concrete test. There's no scientific test by which the jury has to go when you look at up to 99 years. I think that this is going to be a really difficult moment for him. I think this is going to be a very difficult life for him behind bars. I mean, let's be clear. He took someone else's life. That family's never going to have Austin there. But his life is also gone. I mean, his life is never going to be the same. And it's interesting. The one thing I'll add is, and I don't know if we have time to talk about it, but hearing his voice, I've never heard him speak before, and I've never heard him cry before. I don't know if that would have had an effect if he took the stand and tried to make his case and tried to say what he was feeling. But this is why you see people, in self-defense cases, take the stand and try to explain it.
Randy, final word to you.
His voice should have been heard as part of a mitigation package presented to a prosecutor and presented to a judge. And a plea disposition, a plea deal should have been made in this case. This case should have never gone to trial.
All right. Well, as more of the evidence comes out, I'm sure we'll be covering it. Randy Zellin and Jesse Weber.
So that's the big update there. That's my first time seeing that. The Lawyer channel from yesterday. About 5 minutes.
To 2026. President says routine information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. War in Lebanon intensifies overnight. Iranian delegation departs Switzerland as status of peace talks remains uncertain. Unidentified man throws child in crocodile pit in Cambridgeshire before being immediately released by police. Beginning with international events in the Middle East, after the ceasefire document was signed in Versailles yesterday, Israeli forces conducted large-scale bombing campaigns in Lebanon. Dozens of airstrikes were reported along the southern and eastern fronts as the cities of Mafadun, Nabatea, and Toul were heavily targeted this morning. The number of casualties remains unknown, as most of the region surrounding this cluster of towns was destroyed by the shooting. At some point during the night, Hezbollah conducted an ATGM, or anti-tank guided missile attack, on an IDF tank, which killed 4 crew members. This prompted an even more substantial IDF response, which continued throughout the night. By morning, several reports of a ceasefire emerged between the IDF and Hezbollah, scheduled to take place at 4 p.m. local time. However, as of this report, several strikes have taken place after the ceasefire, and the status of the alleged halt to the fighting remains uncertain. Analysts comment. As the bombing in Lebanon has continued throughout the morning, limited reporting out of Switzerland suggests that the Iranian delegation has departed ahead of schedule and peace talks have been halted. Some initial reports also circulated stating that the Strait of Hormuz had been reclosed as well. However, as of this report, this might have been a knee-jerk reaction that has been mitigated, and merchant traffic has continued to increase throughout the Persian Gulf this afternoon. In the United Kingdom this morning, an attack was reported at Johnson's of Old Hurst, a tourist farm or venue in Cambridgeshire. The incident involved a 30-year-old man who was attended by 2 caregivers, snatching a 3-year-old child and throwing him into the crocodile enclosure at the small zoo section of the farm. The zoo owner's wife jumped into the enclosure and rescued the boy, while visitors detained the man who conducted the attack. Analysts comment. The assailant had no connection with the victim, and the attack appears to be random. This case has added to the already high levels of outrage, as the suspect's name and appearance evidences being withheld, but he's already been released from police custody as the police deemed him too mentally ill to even be interviewed. Instead, he was released from custody altogether. The boy who was thrown into the enclosure was bitten by a crocodile and remains hospitalized undergoing treatment. Analyst comments for this wire. If the bombing in Lebanon carries on, the peace deal has little chance of lasting the weekend. In fact, it might already be too late if the Iranians decide that the United States is not capable of constraining the Israelis in Lebanon. The White House has attempted to tame the situation by reportedly assuring the Iranians that the targeting is over. However, as this reporting hit social media, the Israelis were still hitting Lebanon. Also, reports on the timing of last night's event vary somewhat. Some reports claim that the Israelis were only responding to the targeting of the armored column, which prompted the bombing. However, the tank that was hit was advancing, not withdrawing, and at the time, it was located about 6 miles into Lebanese territory on the northwest side of the Litani River. Also, some reports claim that the bombing campaign actually began before the tank was struck by Hezbollah, but these local reports are hard to verify. In the context of the peace agreement that has found itself on rocky ground, the targeting efforts overnight were not a small engagement. This was a substantial bombing campaign that is probably the IDF's biggest push so far into Lebanon. Many locations were completely leveled, and it's quite clear that the Israelis gave some cities throughout southern Lebanon a miniature version of the Gaza treatment last night. It's quite possible that this is the standard final punch below the belt after the bell, and it would have been extremely naive for either the United States or Iran to not assume that this would happen immediately upon a ceasefire agreement being signed. As a result, it's not certain as to if this will outright derail the deal. This may have been an assumption that was already baked into what the US and Iran had agreed to behind closed doors. Nevertheless, the main issue for the world, the Strait of Hormuz, remains the main point of leverage. If the Iranians want to press the issue by closing the strait again, that's up to them, and so far it's hard to say how they might handle the issue. Both sides can see the elephant in the room, and both sides know the difficulty in addressing it. The next big friction point will be in determining what this stunt has cost the American diplomatic team in terms of negotiating terms and getting the Iranians back to the table. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, June 19th, 2026.
Okay, the Wire channel. I got a 3-minute one. A new one here I just found. So let me know on this one.
Without realizing, without having any idea what was happening. And when I say saved, I'm not talking about a beautiful metaphor or a story to make you feel good. I'm revealing a real operation that happened in your life where your human choices directly interfered in a celestial crisis that could have changed the balance between light and darkness forever. This angel was lost, literally lost between dimensions after a spiritual battle that lasted centuries, had lost connection with the higher hierarchies, was wandering in a frequency between the physical and the celestial, unable to return home, and worse, was beginning to lose the light, the angelic essence that defines who he is. In a few more hours, he would have transformed into an empty entity, a spiritually dead angel, something that should never exist in the universe, but then you appeared, with your natural kindness, with your genuine compassion that you don't even consider special, and you made that simple gesture, that action that for you was just a normal moment of your day, but for this angel was literally the difference between existing or ceasing to exist forever.
A lot better, Maria. You might want to see the beginning. I played 2 videos for about last night and this next 10 days here. Real prayer stuff thing. And then this is a new one here. I'm going to play Mel here shortly. I got a few other short ones.
You didn't see bright lights. You didn't hear celestial voices. You didn't have mystical visions, because angels in crisis don't appear with golden wings and shimmering halos. They disguise themselves in the most common situations of human life, waiting for someone with a pure heart to do exactly what you did. Lost angels don't appear asking for help directly. They don't knock on your door explaining their celestial entities in crisis. They disguise themselves in the most banal situations of human life, hoping someone with sharpened intuition perceives that something greater is happening. And this angel found you. Remember that person who appeared in your life a few weeks ago? That situation where you felt inexplicable compassion, a desire to help that came from a place deeper than simple social politeness, could have been someone on the street asking for directions, could have been a co-worker going through difficulties, could have even been an abandoned animal you decided to help. You looked at that situation and something inside you said, I need to do something, not out of obligation, not to show off to others, but because your heart was genuinely moved. What you didn't know is that you were looking directly at a lost angel who had projected himself in that form to try to connect with someone pure enough to serve as a bridge back to the celestial dimensions. He couldn't tell you the truth, couldn't explain he was an angelic entity in crisis. Because if you knew, your help would be motivated by mystical curiosity, not genuine compassion. And only genuine compassion has the frequency necessary to reactivate angelic light that was fading. When you extended your hand to help, when you offered support without expecting anything in return, when you demonstrated pure kindness motivated only by the desire to relieve another's suffering, your compassionate energy functioned as a spiritual defibrillator. Every gentle gesture you made reactivated a fragment of his angelic light. Every word of encouragement you offered reconnected a thread of celestial communication. Every moment of genuine attention you dedicated strengthened the frequency he needed to find the way back. You literally resurrected a dying angel through the purity of your heart. You saved an angel without.
Okay, so that was an important one. A couple more shorts, and then we will get Mel. Let me know.
Others are not who they were made out to be. Can you dive into that?
Here's the raw truth. The Revolutionary War was largely a controlled transfer of power, not the glorious fight for freedom we're taught. The real picture. Many of the founding fathers were high-level Freemasons, deeply connected to European secret societies. Washington, Franklin, Jefferson, and others operated within the same occult and banking networks that controlled Europe. The war created the illusion of breaking away from the British crown, while the financial control system remained firmly in the hands of the same families and institutions, especially the City of London banking houses. The war generated enormous debt. That debt became the mechanism to eventually bring the new independent nation back under financial control. The Constitution itself contains loopholes that were later exploited to turn the United States into a corporation in 1871. Citizens were gradually turned into corporate assets through birth certificates and later social security numbers, pledged as collateral to international bankers. The founding fathers weren't saints. Many of them were part of the same power structure they claimed to oppose. They understood ritual, symbolism, and energy. Washington, D.C.'s street layout is pure occult geometry. The timing of the Declaration of Independence and the design of the Great Seal are loaded with esoteric meaning. The war was brilliant theater. It divided the population and created strong emotional loyalty to the new system. It wiped out much of the old power structure under the guise of independence. It allowed a new management layer to be installed with fresh branding, land of the free. The elite learned a valuable lesson. It's much easier to control people who believe they are free than people who know they're slaves. The Revolutionary War was the first major modern psyop that perfected this technique.
What do you guys
This
think?
is why you see the same bloodlines and banking dynasties maintaining control for centuries, regardless of which side appears to win wars. The Revolutionary War was never about freedom from monarchy. It was about installing a more sophisticated system of control that used the language of liberty while keeping the same masters in charge. Ara out.
Okay, that's a new one there. Here's another 3-minute.
And we don't know if
John Brennan's drone war killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children.
Oh my God. I have a friend, Daniel Hale. Daniel just got out of prison himself. He was a drone operator from the U.S. Air Force. He's the one who blew the whistle on the drone program. And he tells the most chilling story. He was operating a drone from a base in Nevada. His boss was at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida. So they're both looking at the screen. Daniel's operating the drone, and he sees the target. The target's in Afghanistan, right? And Daniel says, I have eyes on the target. And his boss in MacDill says, fire. And Daniel says, wait a minute. He's with 2 little kids. And his boss says, those aren't kids. Those are goats. He said, I'm looking at them. They're not goats. They're children. They're girls. And his boss says, fire.
Is this one all right?
And he said, I can't fire. They're children.
It's an illegal order.
He says, fire or be court-martialed. And he fires. And he kills a 12-year-old girl and a 9-year-old girl. And he went home that night and he said to his girlfriend, I became a child killer today. How do we live with ourselves?
How do you recover from that?
You can't recover from that. But this is what I mean when I say,
in Israel right now, they have a ramp. The suicide rate of IDF soldiers is unprecedented.
It's got to be. Because you can't all be monsters, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have a conscience.
Not Lindsey Graham.
No.
Not Randy Fine.
Lindsey Graham is perfectly happy to kill your children and your children and your children. He doesn't care. Yeah. And Fine, who wears an IDF uniform onto the floor of the House like a traitor.
Who did?
Wow, this is
Fine.
a big one, huh, Maria?
Fine. He was showing a picture of a dead Palestinian child.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, that's a lovely picture. I'd like to see more of those. This isn't an international scandal. But then Gen Z is watching this and they're utterly
people
horrified.
Don't talk like that.
Yeah, that's not how normal people talk. Ben Gvir, you listen to Ben Gvir talk?
His wife, listen, the Israelis passed a law 2 weeks ago allowing for the death penalty, but only for Palestinians, not for Jews. And on the day that the Knesset passed it into law, his wife baked him a cake in the shape of a gallows. These are not normal people. This is not normal life. We need to reclaim what's right.
You know,
that was big news. I didn't hear enough about that on Lindsey Graham. All right, I got that one guy on Telegram that we started following. 5 minutes, and then we'll play the half-hour Mel. Great. My volume's off again. Well, maybe not. What the heck? Oh. Shoot. God dang it. I might have to come back to this one. I'm going to try one more time. I don't know what happened. Darn it. All right, we'll come back to that. We'll do Mel now. Everything's turned on. Hang on a sec. Oh, my. What the heck? Hang on, we'll get there. Ah, how did my settings go off? God darn it. Oh, that worked. Why is this doing this? Everything's turned on. Got it.
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Well, I almost feel like a virgin. This is the first time we've done an actual live over here on our digital assets. And welcome, welcome, as I said, to Mayhem Mel Digital Assets. And
This is her first show,
this is where we
you guys.
start to get back into a different form or mindset. Okay, so we've been over on the main channel, and everyone got a little upset the other week. But I'm not disappearing. I'm trying to direct to you for the fundamentals, and this is where you're going to find some very cool fundamentals. We kind of tend to focus very much over on the main channel, Mayhem Mel News, of course, with the onset of a global currency reset. And I believe that reset has already begun. It is already set in motion. And this is where we're going to educate over here. So this is why this little transition is a little bit bumpy for some people, but that's okay. But welcome. So let's get over to here. As we move across into this new quantum world, and this, we're going to look at a few different things. This also helps with the markers as well. And so let's get over to these markers. 117. That's a really good number to start the day, isn't it? Or evening, wherever, depending on where you are. All right, Singapore plans to launch a gold clearing system. This was released on June the 15th. This year with JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank. Why is this so important in the digital asset sector? Well, first of all, let's work out what is a gold clearing system. Because we don't actually talk about a lot of these things because, as I said, our focus over on the main channel has been very much directed at just the revaluation of currencies. So I'm bringing you all over here for this. But what is the gold clearing system? It's a financial infrastructure used to settle, verify, transfer the ownership of physical and digital gold. I think that's pretty important, regardless of whether we're talking about revaluation of currencies. Now we're talking about the digitalization of what that currency actually is. And it's, of course, the gold and precious metals. So this system that was released by Singapore, and we now can connect the Singapore Monetary Authority of Singapore with these digital assets. So the gold clearing system that they released on June the 15th is very, very important. What it does, it actually minimizes the physical movement of gold bars by using unallocated accounts and centralized ledgers to allow massive transaction volumes to be settled safely and efficiently and transparent, of course, on digital blockchains. So, of course, that there, ladies and gentlemen, is your quantum system coming into play. Okay, so let's go over, this is all going to tie up towards the end. So we now know that, of course, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, that being our quantum financial system, is now gone completely digital. And this digitalization is going to tokenize that of what we believe to be, in the revaluation side of things, the connection of XRP tokenized to your gold. So this is why I've moved you over to here, to let's start getting a little bit closer to where we need to be. In the Clarity Act, is it on? Is it off? What's going on? Well, a few short hours ago, they certainly said it was back on the table again. But let's remind each other what Clarity Act is. Why is it so important? And why are we doing this over in digital assets? Well, it is to protect those of us who participate in the digital economy. Okay, and again, like I said, on again, off again. Is it happening on the 4th of July? Is it going to go through to August? These are the schedules, and they are, I believe, just as a few hours ago, we're putting it to meetings to have it go through the floor before the 4th of July. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So I just have to skip through some notes here. Also, the key negotiations that remain unsolved are going to be talked about. Oh, wait for it. Where's Mel going? Chicago. So the Chicago Summit. Let's call it not the Chicago Summit, because we've changed channels. So we've stepped it up a little bit. So we've gone from Chicago Summit to let's talk about a digital asset or digital network called Solana. Sol. We touched on that one on our Sizzling Sunday on our main channel. So Solana Summit is kind of like the new Washington Wall Street. So here we go. Meetings, as I said, are going to be held as we speak just a few hours ago. And this, of course, then connects us to the Genius Act. Now, the Genius Act, as I said, I think I said it on Holly's show when we were talking about the, as I said, the revaluation of currencies. But this is why I want you to take the focus off the revaluation of currencies and let's focus on the Genius Act. This was the foundation of this new quantum system or this new digital age system. Okay, so here's an interesting one, and this is why change is always good. All right, so let's rock and roll here. There's an article that's just been dropped about 5.5 trillion asset manager, State Street, has just launched a Genius Act compliant stablecoin. Now, remember what a stablecoin is. It's a token that is backed by an asset, hence digital assets, okay? And take away that emotion. So now that you've changed channels, this is also about changing your mindset. This is not about State Street. It's not about New World Order. This is your new digital framework. This is your digital mindset. Okay, so they're the first Genius Act compliant stablecoin that has a reserve fund. This will give State Street Bank and everyone else accountability. So let's have a look at the Genius Act, which incorporates the Clarity Act that we were just talking about. Let's think about this in a different perspective. This is your Basel 4. Okay, this is taking those
I feel a lot better.
that tokenized gold
today.
over from the other channel or the other blockchain, if you want to call it that, and bring it over and then have it sitting there digitalized. The banks also have to have accountability, including State Street. So the digitalization, this was never ever about the previous corruption or how much they owned. It's all about making them accountable. And by bringing State Street into the Genius Act and having them accountable for their gold reserve funds as an asset manager, then you have to start thinking about where you're going to invest your fortunes or your money. State Street, very interesting. No longer the old system, no longer on the old channel. We are now in a new channel, a new mindset. Keep that in mind. Brenton Woods, Basel 4, where they must meet the reserves and the compliances of that, of your Genius Act. What a genius plan it is, isn't it? Okay, so now we are talking about Basel 4 in the old system, now being compliant in the new system over here on digital assets, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I brought you over here. Okay, change is good. So here's a little side note. As I said, this is a brand new mindset. Who is behind all of this new quantum system? We know and learnt over on the old channel that we saw many awakenings, and we knew about BlackRock, and we knew about State Street, and we knew about Vanguard. Well, guess what? They also had corruption, and they decided that they were going to come over here into the new quantum system, and they wanted to go back onto the gold standard to operate at a very transparent way, and hence they are behind your quantum system. So you're going to have to re-educate yourself in a little different way. So Anchorage and State Street are among many of those who are backing the new Genius Act, the new quantum system. So stay excited about that. New channel, new mindset. 33 days left. Ooh, 33, that sounds like a great number, doesn't it? 33 days to finalise the stablecoin framework under the Genius Act. So we're down into the last 33 days. A very important marker, I would say. Okay, the new rules of this Genius Act, which incorporate that Clarity Act, don't forget the Clarity Act comes under this big banner, to cover the anti-money laundering. We often call it in the digital assets AML. The issue of licensing, that is including bank licensing, stablecoin licensing. So the Genius Act is the big baby, and the Clarity Act is specific for the regulations, okay? And of course, as we just talked about, the reserve requirements to maintain.
Oh, that's weird. I guess, I don't know, they're going to let me play it or not. Come on.
Digital network, talking about the article that's just been dropped, different perspective, having them accountable. What did you said? This is are backing the new Genius Act.
Okay, I had to fast forward it a little bit.
So stay excited about that.
Should be right about
new
here.
Channel, new mindset. 33 days left. Oh, 33. Yep. That sounds like a great number, doesn't it? 33 days to finalise the stablecoin framework under the Genius Act. So we're down into the last 33 days. A very important marker, I would say. Okay, the new rules of this Genius Act, which incorporate that Clarity Act, don't forget the Clarity Act comes under this big banner, to cover the anti-money laundering. We often call it in the digital assets AML. The issue of licensing, that is including bank licensing, stablecoin licensing. So the Genius Act is the big baby and the Clarity Act is specific for the regulations, okay? And of course, as we just talked about, the reserve requirements to maintain their licenses, to maintain their integrity in the new quantum system, then they have to be under the Genius Act, okay? If State Street already launched a stablecoin reserve money market fund, which they have, and they are behind and backing the Genius Act, well, it signals to me that it is all go, okay? We are ready to rock and roll. So all the theatre that we are seeing regarding the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, is why I brought you over here again, so that we take the focus off all of the drama llama that we talk about. Oh, the clarity, oh, that means the RV's not going to happen. Oh my gosh, no. When you understand that the State Street
stopped again? Man, I wonder if they're going to let me play it. Yeah, they're not going to let me play it. They stopped it. So we'll see about the next video here. Sorry about that. I don't know why they didn't let me play it. I don't know why this one's not working. This sucks.
The preview. I've always said the mistake that that the deep state made in going after me was that they panicked. Back in 2021, and when all this came out, that we had the evidence.
People might have missed it.
They just went ballistic. Jenna Griswold went ape. And, I always say, if they had just not gone like that, the FBI raided me. They took my husband. They tried to take my house. They just kept going. They took me out of my office. And most people know all these things.
I don't think I played this one,
the people that stayed steadfast against, with me and against them just kept me going.
The host for Case for America, Trinnis Evans, joins me now. Trinnis, great interview. I'm so excited for this. This is something that we never stopped pulling for on this show, her freedom. And it's really nice to just see her sitting there in a casual setting with you. Tell us about the interview.
You know, I tell you that Peter and I both broke down, and Tina, being the emotional rock that she is, stayed together. And, you know, I was over here reaching for tissue half the interview because there's so much happened, so much work went into that. And it just got me. It broke me. And here's Tina. She just powered right through. She is such an amazing force. It was a wonderful interview, but it was just a testament to what a rock she is and such a hero to the country. And one of the questions that I asked her that I thought was so important, Dr. Gina, you're going to love this. And she says, you know, it was worth it. I asked her if it was worth it. She said, I'd do it all again. If I had to go through the whole thing again, I would do it the same way because it's important. It has to happen. I had to do this. And if one more person is willing to stand up because of what I went through, then it was worth it.
Yeah, it really does seem like God equipped her in some very special ways. But she lost a lot. And I have to tell you, Trinus, I was at dinner last night with some friends. These are local people. You would probably think they were politically involved. They're members at Mar-a-Lago, Trump supporters. You really would think they'd know the backstory on things like our J6ers and Tina Peters. Guess what? They didn't. They thought J6 was an insurrection, didn't know who Tina Peters was from Adam. What are we doing wrong that the world doesn't know this? I mean, these are politically involved people. Here in Palm Beach, that's the part that really concerns me.
I'm going to tell you exactly what we're doing wrong. Our big money donors are not behind things like making movies and putting the information out. I'm watching that Sean Penn's going to be starring in what's going to be a leftist propaganda piece about January 6th, obviously probably playing Fanon or one of these other people. That's what's disturbing to me. I don't know where our big money donors are to get behind these kinds of projects, not just donors, but investors. We have opportunity. We have news. We have all of the charisma, and we have courage and patriotism. And yet here I sit wondering how I'm getting to the next event. And here you guys said we're all wondering how to fund things and get the sponsors and where it's coming from. But Hollywood, at the drop of a dime, here we go. No problem. Plenty of money. I've been pushing that. I wrote a book about this. And, somebody came to me about doing a screenplay about January 6th. I wrote the first book from a January 6er, and we still struggle. I gave that project up over a year ago. Where is the person to tell that story, to put it in the hearts and minds of the American people? So people like the folks you just had dinner with are politically connected. Our individuals in the world of conservatism are still buying mainstream narratives because the information is not out. We made Bloody Hill 2.5 years ago and put it out for free, and only a few million people saw it.
Well, I think you and I are working on a few projects that might just change that, Trinus. Tell us what Tina wants people to know about her experience most of all.
You know, Dr. Gina, it is an amazing journey for Tina. And not one anyone would think, hey, that sounds like fun. Let's do that. I want to jump right in. But one of the things that she's doing is she's still fighting. She is still fighting against the election crime. She is still fighting against those that mean to subvert the will of the people. She is still fighting for justice and our free and fair elections as they should be, which they are currently not. She is has some things coming here. I know she's, I don't want to get too far into it. I'm trying to remember what we said on interview and what we said over the course of a few days together. But I want you to know that I am certain of one thing. You're going to see more of Tina Peters, and it's not going to be just in interviews. I would say we'll say there's going to be some proceedings, and I'm just going to say that Tina Peters is not going to be the target of said proceedings.
All right, that's another big video there. I got two new parts. They're about 3 minutes a piece. A 3-part with the ballroom update, and then the update on the B-52 crash. I want to see about those. They're all short clips. Yeah. Anybody catch these?
End up crashing in the Edwards Air Force Base. The aircraft had only climbed a few hundred feet when the nose suddenly pitched down, plunging the massive bomber into the ground and creating a huge explosion. But wasn't this aircraft planned to keep flying until 2050? Yes, and that is exactly why they were testing a newly installed radar system. Aviation experts are looking at 3 main scenarios. The first theory: a fatal flight control rigging mistake made while the aircraft spent extensive time in maintenance hangar. The second scenario, an uncontained engine failure, where shattered turbine blades burst through the engine casing and ripped through critical hydraulic lines. The third theory, an issue with the newly installed high-voltage power lines and cooling systems, suggesting a sudden electrical short or wiring failure doomed the flight. Well, the aircraft involved was a B-52H Strato Fortress bearing this registration number. It had recently been relocated from Port San Antonio to Edwards Air Force Base in December 2025 to undergo critical upgrades. Because it was a test flight rather than a standard combat or training patrol, the aircraft was carrying a mixed crew of 8 people. This complement included military personnel, civilian staff, and contractors, with Boeing confirming that 2 of its employees were among those on board. This is how the crash happened. At 11:14 a.m., the B-52 was cleared to taxi to runway 22 left at Edwards Air Force Base. After a 6-minute taxi and standard pre-flight checks, the crew received takeoff clearance. But B-52s don't dart down the runway like fighter jets. They build speed slowly, shaking the ground with the immense pressure and roar of their 8 engines. At exactly 11:17 a.m., the massive bomber finally lifted off the tarmac. What happened next took less than 8 seconds. The aircraft reached about 200 feet in the air, roughly the height of a 20-story building. Suddenly, the nose pitched erratically, the plane veered off course, and it suffered a critical loss of thrust and control. At that low altitude and carrying hundreds of thousands of pounds of fuel, the crew had absolutely no time to troubleshoot the problem or safely eject. The bomber simply dropped. Here is the impact. At 11:25 a.m., the aircraft slammed into the desert floor. It was a completely non-survivable impact. The nose section struck first, followed within milliseconds by the wings, which at their span of 185 feet impacted across a corridor of desert that stretched nearly the full width of a city block. The fuel, hundreds of thousands of pounds of it, began its own physics immediately, dispersing, atomizing, igniting. The fireball rose within seconds to a height visible from the surrounding highway system. But did the addition of the new radar cause the crash? The new test radar did not cause the plane to crash by making it too heavy. The radar being tested, an active electronically scanned array system designed to replace the bomber's aging analog radar, weighs only a fraction of that capacity. Furthermore, modern active electronically scanned array radars are often lighter and more compact than the legacy mechanical radar dishes they replace. A radar system upgrade would not overweight the aircraft or critically alter its center of gravity. But what are the different scenarios that could have led to this crash? In scenario 1, we will look at the hidden flaw, a rigging error. The first possibility is a silent mistake made long before the aircraft ever reached the runway. This specific B-52 had just spent extensive time in a maintenance hangar to receive its new radar system. Like all B-52s, it relies on a complex, sprawling web of mechanical cables and hydraulic actuators to move its massive control surfaces. If those cables or hydraulics were rigged incorrectly during the overhaul, perhaps connected backward or improperly calibrated, the pilots wouldn't realize it while taxiing. How did this...
Hey, that was part 1. Part 2 is coming up.
A smooth rotation, the control yokes would command immediate, violent, and uncontrollable movements. At an altitude of just 200 feet, there is simply no time or physical space to diagnose a rigging failure and wrestle the plane back into level flight. This is scenario 2. The second theory points to a sudden, violent mechanical destruction. A B-52 has 8 engines, and it is designed to safely continue a takeoff, even if 1 or 2 fail. But an uncontained engine failure is an entirely different beast. If an engine suffers a catastrophic internal breakdown, its rapidly spinning turbine blades can shatter. Instead of staying safely inside the engine housing, those heavy metal blades burst through the casing at immense speeds, acting like high-velocity shrapnel. This flying metal can easily slice through critical hydraulic lines hidden inside the wing, tear into neighboring engines, or destroy the wing's structural integrity. The result is an instant, catastrophic loss of lift and control on one side of the aircraft. Here is scenario number 3. While the new AES radar wasn't too heavy for the bomber, installing it required threading modern high-voltage power lines and advanced cooling systems through a 60-year-old airframe. It is entirely possible that a sudden electrical short, a flash fire behind the instrument panels, or unexpected interference from the testing equipment itself occurred at the worst possible moment. If the aircraft's primary flight systems were disabled or the flight deck displays went dark right as the plane lifted off, the crew would be flying blind at the most critical phase of flight. Flight testing inherently pushes the boundaries of these older machines, which is why test missions carry such specialized crews. But does the B-52 have ejection seats? And if it does, why did they fail to operate? Well, yes, it is equipped with ejection seats. A standard B-52 crew is spread across two distinct levels of design that forces the aircraft to rely on two completely different types of ejection systems. On the upper flight deck sit the co-pilot and the captain. Just behind them is the defense section where you'll find the electronic warfare officer and the radar officer. When an ejection is initiated, explosive charges instantly blow off the overhead roof hatches. A split second later, powerful rocket motors fire, propelling their seats violently upward. Interestingly, the lower deck also has ejection seat. For the navigator and radar navigator, who serves as the bombardier, the situation is vastly different. They operate in the cramped, windowless lower deck. Because they are situated directly beneath the flight deck, ejecting upward is physically impossible. Instead, when they pull their handles, explosive hatches on the belly of the aircraft are blown away, and their seats are fired violently downward, dropping them out of the bottom of the plane. So why did this escape system fail during the June 15, 2026 crash? It came down to a fatal lack of time and altitude. The entire catastrophe lasted under 8 seconds. So how did the pilot start the plane? Step 1. Switch to pneumatic start, then turn on the starter for engine number 4, located here. Step 2. Once the RPM reaches 15%, you can advance the throttle for engine number 4. Step 3. Following the same sequence, you can start engine number 5 by waiting for a few minutes. However, starting all 8 engines is a time-consuming process. Step 4. In case of an emergency, you can initiate startup using shotgun shells, starter cartridges, which are placed here just below the engine. Hot gas is rapidly pumped through the starter, which swiftly spins up all 8 engines at once. Step 5. Once the engines are on, you can push for full throttle. And that's a simplified process for starting a B-52 plane. To help you understand just how difficult it is to pry.
Okay, last part 3. Then I got the ballroom update, three clips. Then we'll do Benny videos and Trish. I just found it too.
A monster parachute just to come to a complete halt. This is how it works when a drag chute is deployed. Upon landing, 2 parachutes are used. A smaller pilot chute is used to pull the bigger main chute out of its container. And this is quite big. It's around 13.3 meters in diameter and around 27 meters long, weighing around 200 pounds, which translates to around 90 kilograms. A quick note, because its wings are so long and flexible, the wings and tail would touch the ground if the nose were raised too much. This is the reason it does not rotate like a regular aircraft while taking off, but requires a long runway to create lift and flies almost horizontally. Interestingly, the landing gear can crab walk, meaning it moves sideways. This feature proves beneficial due to the unusually large wingtips. However, its primary purpose for having the crab walk is to counter the crosswind effect during landings in windy conditions. Despite being built in the 1950s, why is the US military planning to keep it flying all the way until 2050? Well, this is the only plane that can carry from 20 to 84 individual bombs at once, while the upgraded rack can carry around 6 pave-way laser-guided bombs on one side of the wing. These guided bombs have a maximum range of over 30 kilometers, depending on their drop altitude. This means the higher the altitude, the larger the distance it will travel towards its intended target. The main purpose of this rack is to carry around 12 AGM-158 Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff missiles. This low-detection standoff air-launched cruise missile has a range of around 370 kilometers, which translates to about 230 miles. This capability means that, for example, a bomber equipped with this system can target any military installation near a border, offering a lower-cost alternative to other cruise missiles. But that's not all. It even has an internal bomb bay door. When loading, it can open all the way at this angle. This is done to provide more room for loading or unloading the various weapon systems. However, when dropping or operating the bombs, it opens only halfway. This is probably done to maintain the aerodynamics of the plane when flying at high altitudes. Here you will find that the new rotary weapons bay allows for a wider variety of munitions to be carried. It can be fitted with 8 nuclear-capable air-launched cruise missiles, ALCM. If you consider the external weapon pylons, it can carry up to 20 ALCM combined on both sides of the wings. This missile was specially developed to increase the effectiveness and survivability of the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress strategic bomber. Here's how it works. It usually drops the first missile, and when it is safely away from the plane, it can slowly open its wings and tail sections to glide to its target with its jet engine. The new rotary weapon bay can turn 360 degrees and drop the second cruise missile, then the third and fourth. These clever tactics of the rotary weapons system help in carrying more missiles than the older B-52 planes. Not to forget, it can also carry up to 27 conventional bombs in its internal weapons bay. These can be Mark 82 dumb weapons, which can be dropped in succession on a large scale without any guidance system. Let's take a look at how the weapons systems officer operates in this simple process. Remember the laser-guided bombs we talked about earlier? This is the targeting pod that helps aim at moving targets. Inside the weapons systems officer section, they can laser designate the target with this controller located here. This joystick helps turn the targeting pod and guide the laser-equipped weapons. When ready, they can flip the switch on the button. If a laser-guided bomb is located internally, this opens the bomb bay door. Once released, the bomb can be guided to any mobile target, like this moving tank, by aiming through this laser targeting pod located on the wings, obliterating it completely from thousands of feet away, thus turning the plane into a flying Stratofortress. But a question arises. Since these weapons are very heavy, when you drop them and one side of the wing's weapon pylon is empty, it can tilt the plane to this angle. To fix this, the pilot can take fuel in any configuration and move it throughout the jet. So you can start pumping gas from any of the auxiliary tanks, the main tanks, or the outboard and external tanks to maintain the plane's center of gravity. We build every animation from how difficult it is to stop this mess.
All right, that's the update from the plane crash of the B-52 there. Now we'll do a short 3-clip on the ballroom, if anybody haven't seen that yet. I'm going to show this real quick. What do you guys think of this photo shot here? Here we go again with the symbols, guys. What do you think?
Looking through where the East Wing used to be, you'd see something that honestly looks like a bomb went off. Construction crews demolished the entire thing in 4 days flat. And what's going up in its place is absolutely insane. A 3-story, 90,000 square foot ballroom that will look like nothing else in this world. But one wrong calculation during construction could collapse the entire White House on live television. Within weeks, D.C. is about to witness the largest concrete pour since.
What I heard on Fox this morning, I didn't know about that, but I didn't know the World Cup, the U.S. won the last one, and they said that if they win the second one, that's going to be historic records, and being on the celebration on the 4th of July. I was hearing that this morning.
They built the Pentagon. There will be a convoy of concrete trucks stretching for miles, all lined up to dump their loads in an 18-hour marathon that absolutely cannot stop. Here's why. If even one section of concrete begins to cure before the next section gets poured, you create what's called a cold joint, basically a fault line that could crack the first time 2,000 dancing diplomats step foot on it. To prevent this from happening, workers assemble this incredible maze of rebar, reinforcement bars thick as your wrist, woven together into the world's strongest basket. A typical office building spaces rebar every few feet. This project, every 6 inches. The density is so extreme that workers literally walk across the top of the rebar grid like it's a solid floor. and they need every piece of it. Because what's about to sit on top weighs more than an aircraft carrier. And there's a huge problem with this. That section against the existing White House, those are original stones from 1792, rocks that George Washington personally approved, that have held up the president's house through the British burning it, the Civil War, and everything America has faced. This is how the White House looked.
Okay, part one.
Building to these ancient foundations without causing a hairline crack in the existing ceiling. Here is where things get interesting. Basically, they dig underneath the existing foundation and pour new concrete beneath it, giving the 230-year-old White House a titanium spine before they add Trump's addition. The margin for error? Zero. But getting the foundation right is just the start. This entire building needs infrastructure that can handle everything from state dinners to nuclear war. See those trenches they're digging? Each one serves a different purpose. Electrical in this one, plumbing in that one, data cables over there, and something else that they won't talk about, secured communications. Because this ballroom isn't just for parties. In a crisis, it needs to transform into a command center, which means the same hardened communication lines that run the Situation Room. The cables they're laying can survive an electromagnetic pulse. The pipes have valves that seal instantly if sensors detect chemical weapons. The electrical system has more redundancy than Air Force One. The concrete itself tells you this isn't normal construction. Right now, in a plant in Maryland, they're mixing concrete with steel fibers, essentially making the entire foundation blast resistant. This mix is so specialized, it has to stay between 64 and 68 degrees during the entire journey from Maryland to the White House. Too hot, it cracks. Too cold, it won't cure. 4 degrees is all they get to work with. While driving through DC traffic, past protesters, through security checkpoints, and finally to the White House. Now crews have to...
Okay, last part, and I got I think a 5-minute one. Oh wait, no, mini videos. We got the minis.
Soars to 18 feet, doubling your living room ceiling. Trump wants that palace effect where you walk in and your neck automatically cranes upward. To achieve it, they're using enough steel to build 12 Statue of Liberties. Every beam coming from that fabrication plant in Pennsylvania has a number, a specific installation sequence, and zero room for improvisation. Think of it as the world's most expensive IKEA furniture, except one wrong piece and 90,000 square feet comes crashing down. The main ballroom requires a 200-foot span with no columns. That means special trusses that are so massive, they need police escorts through 3 states. And they can only move at night on specific routes that can handle the weight when the weather cooperates. As you stand here and watch the steel go up, you can see Trump's entire vision taking shape. That massive open rectangle on the south side, the main ballroom. The north side that looks like its own building, kitchen facilities that would make Gordon Ramsay jealous. 20 commercial ovens that could each cook your Thanksgiving turkey in 20 minutes. Walk-in freezers larger than most Manhattan apartments. Dishwashers that basically pressure wash 2,000 place settings into brand new again in under 2 hours. Now look up to where they're framing the second floor. That section overlooking the ballroom, that's Trump's presidential viewing gallery. His personal skybox where he can survey the room. The Secret Service loves it because he's protected behind bulletproof glass. Trump loves it because he can skip the receiving line and still see everything. Future residents will love it because they can escape when they need to without anyone noticing. The third floor might look boring, just mechanical space, but it's actually an engineering marvel. How do you cool a room with 35-foot ceilings when 2,000 bodies are generating heat and that massive glass wall turns the whole space into a greenhouse? The air handlers going up there are the size of city buses. The chillers need their own power substation. The ductwork is so large, that maintenance crews will walk through it standing up. This isn't climate control. This is weather manipulation. By summer 2026, the glass installation begins, and suddenly Trump's vision meets reality. These panels aren't windows. They're 30 feet tall, 10 feet wide sheets of 5-inch thick bullet-resistant glass. Each one weighs 3,000 pounds and costs more than most people's college degrees. 3 different factories are working around the clock because no single facility can produce enough of this specialized glass in time. The engineering gets even crazier when you realize these windows face the south lawn, where Marine One lands. Every time the president's helicopters rise higher than...
Okay, those were 2 big 3-part clips there. Now we're going to go on to regular videos. Something different to share. We got the first mini video.
I love
11
Seinfeld
minutes.
because of his incredible cultural predictive power. They knew exactly where libtard culture was going and perfectly nailed left-wing groupthink, hive mind, and cancellations before those were even a thing in an episode called The AIDS Ribbon, where Kramer refuses the message. Here we go.
Okay, you're checked in.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's your AIDS ribbon.
No thanks.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to.
Yes.
That's why I don't want to.
You must wear the ribbon.
You're a ribbon bully.
Come back here and put this on.
Hey, where's your ribbon? Oh, I don't wear them.
Aren't you against AIDS?
Yeah, I'm against AIDS.
Bob, this guy won't wear a ribbon.
Who doesn't want to wear the ribbon? This is America. I don't have to wear anything I don't want to wear. We're just going to have to teach him to wear the ribbon.
So, to be an upstanding, peaceful, liberal, they kick Kramer's ass and nearly kill him in order to show how loving they are and how compassionate they are. A perfect microcosm of left-wing hive mind groupthink and the way that they are, as they slowly descend in power as a movement, lashing out at certain sports leagues, athletes. You're seeing this across Major League Baseball with a massive victory. Last night announced that a minor league team in Pennsylvania have canceled their Pride Night after players refused to wear jerseys with rainbow sleeves. Why? Because all of the players simply want to play baseball and not be used for the message. It's like Kramer. Like, do they hate gay people? No. Should you hate gay people as a Christian? No. That's not part of our religion. As we're commanded to love everyone as Christians. But we should not be propagating sin. We should not be propagating things that are immoral. And also, you shouldn't be a billboard in your sporting event for worldviews that you disagree with. There's no hatred to do with it. It has everything to do with human decency and freedom of choice, I guess, right? Freedom of association.
Hold a free Pride Night event at Wellspan Park. The Revs say that if you did buy tickets for tonight's game, you can redeem them for any future game. The event that is still on for tonight will run from 5:30.
So they canceled the Pride Night at the York Revolution. Absolutely based players refused the rainbow jersey. They refused to wear the AIDS ribbon. Patriots. What, like, where's the cognitive dissonance here? In what universe are you supposed to sign up? You're good at a sport. You sign up to play it professionally. You train your entire life in order to get to the major leagues. And these are the major leagues. These are farm teams for Major League Baseball teams. Many of these players are professional players that play in the MLB. They either are cooling off or get an injury or they're working their way up. Anyway, the point is that this is Major League Baseball. This is the official MLB leagues. And 1 month out of the year, you are suddenly forced to be a billboard for a radical political agenda. When did that become a thing? When did we decide that we're going to take sports, which should be the removal of all of the toxic and divisiveness, and make it overtly political and start using the sports players against their will to message on behalf of your political ideology? It's not going to work out well, right, in the right-wing dictatorship when the right does this. But sports are, by nature, masculine coded. So I think they know exactly what they're doing here. And this is, of course, why UFC at the White House is so important. All players who object to the league don't need to do, all players who object across the league, they need to do this. Send a message that they won't be a part of this and will be paraded around like show ponies for an agenda. That's exactly right. Major League Baseball is striking back, though, warning San Francisco Giants players that writing Bible verses on their hats for Pride Night. There are San Francisco Giants players who are forced to wear Pride Night hats, so they're forced to wear the rainbow, and they're writing Bible verses on their hats. Here we go. Several Giants pitchers, in a statement of their faith, wrote Bible verses designations on their hat. One starting pitcher addressed the reasoning, saying this is about representing God's covenant in Genesis. You can see right here, 1:1. There's no hate in it at all. It expresses what the actual rainbow stands for before the rainbow was co-opted by demons. And that is precisely what's happened here in the alphabet community. And we all know it. They chose the rainbow for specific reasons. One, it attracts like little kids because it has all the colors in it. And then two, it is an insult to Christianity, which owned the rainbow through the covenant of Noah and God, where God said he won't flood the earth again. And so he's being attacked and now being warned that you're not allowed to put a Bible verse on your hat. A Bible verse that's a lot older than America, baseball, the MLB, that's been believed by hundreds of millions, if not billions of people. Yeah, billions of people for sure. Throughout world history. You're talking Genesis here. Like in what universe can you not have Genesis on your, you think that your modern politics, your modern audiences trumps the book of Genesis, the covenant of God and man? Rob Schneider vows to cover potential fines for any Giants players who put Bible verses on their hats. Good for you. Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore, says J.D. Vance. Giants pitchers wore Bible verses on their Pride Night hats. MLB has since issued a warning to them. That's right. J.D. Vance going viral with this 11 million views. MLB is facing investigations from Florida Attorney General after they cracked down on Christian faith players, a Bible verse on their LGBT hats. MLB is facing a huge backlash. You can see here. Do you practice religious discrimination in Florida, MLB? You'll be hearing from my office soon. Up around, find out. James Uthmeyer is hardcore, dude. You don't want to mess with this guy. Josh Hawley, same thing. What does MLB think about penalizing players for their Christian faith? They owe us answers on this right now. The Texas Rangers are the only team in Major League Baseball that does not host a Pride Night. This week, they're hosting a Faith and Family Night instead. Meanwhile, MLB just warned Giants pitchers for wearing a Bible verse on their hat. In Texas, we don't punish people for living out their faith. We protect their rights. Missouri law prohibits discrimination based on religious belief. My office is demanding that the MLB not discriminate against players for their faith. MLB refuses to comply. We're going to take action. And you're sued. There you go. We're going to open an investigation if the MLB refuses to respond to my letter. Way to go. Wear the ribbon. That's right. The Major League Baseball does not have an openly gay or bisexual player, meaning this is all propaganda. It has nothing to do with supporting any of their players. It has everything to do with breaking up the nuclear family, targeting Christian values by stealing Christian symbols. That's exactly right. So the Texas Rangers saying they will not do a Pride Night. They shouldn't. Nobody should. Because it has become, I'm not sure if it started that way. The Christian take on this is that you should love everyone.
About 3 minutes.
And that God created everyone. Okay? And that we're all fallen.
All right, so here's the deal. National concealed carry reciprocity is about to change everything. It means if you have a permit, it could be valid in all.
But it became incredibly isolating and politically divisive. And the alphabet mafia went too far and forcing propaganda on people. And so you should, I mean, this should be illegal to do this, especially if it violates the constitution of your faith, conscience of your faith. Yeah, Rob Schneider saying he's going to pay all of the fines. Way to go. Okay. Well, it's good to see. It's good to see bravery in our modern society. You can see the culture changing. Diamondbacks pitcher Ryan Thompson, who's proclaimed Christian, spoke about San Francisco players. I think there's a perceived negativity to this stuff. Verse on the hat means anti-something. It doesn't mean that. It means we're pro-something. The rainbow means something. It's the Noahic covenant being something special to us as Christians. Way to go. Way to be based.
That doesn't mean that, right? It means that he's pro something, right? So the rainbow means something to him. It means that he believes in the Noahic covenant being something that's special to us as Christians.
Did I say it wrong? Probably. Maybe I should watch more Maybe I should watch more Angel Studios films, which I intend on doing with Young Washington, and we're thrilled about this. Young Washington is going to be incredible. It'll be in theaters in July. You can sign up for the Angel Guild right now and make sure that you're locked in. It is something that is going to be incredibly important in order to fight the rot in culture, is to create our own culture. And I'm not sure if we can create our own Major League Baseball, but we sure as hell can create our own entertainment and our own spaces that aren't ashamed of the Bible, the gospel. And that's what we're trying to do here. And we're having a blast doing it. Sign up for the Angel Studio Guild today. The information is in the description. It's your boy, Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, our first spinning one there. My second one coming up. But there was another shooting in Chicago. I want to play that before we get to the spinning.
Breaking news update that I want to get to this Saturday afternoon. Putting this on your screen, coming to us from the New York Post. But we do know, courtesy of our partners there at Fox 32 in Chicago, that a drive-by mass shooting has left at least 13 people injured on the south side of the city, according to those police. And so what we do know at this time is that those officers say they responded to the scene in the 200 block of West 95th Street in Roseland just after 11 p.m. yesterday. We do know that investigators did learn that a red SUV pulled alongside a large crowd, and two gunmen from inside began to open fire at the victims before ultimately leaving the scene. Several people were hit after that situation unfolded. I want to take you out to this live vantage point that we have there over Chicago at this time as well, with more details from what we know from police. Arriving officers, though, say that they found a 32-year-old woman who was shot twice in her back and a 44-year-old man with 4 graze wounds to his back as well. The woman, though, was taken to Christ Hospital in good condition. The man, though, was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, also in good condition. Police did go on to list an additional 10 shooting victims. There was a 38-year-old woman who was shot multiple times and then self-transported herself to a local hospital. A 47-year-old man was shot in the knee, self-transported himself to one, as well as several others in a similar situation. The youngest victim who is listed here is a 17-year-old boy who was shot in the thigh and took himself to Trinity Hospital in critical condition. And so we'll continue to keep you updated with the very latest, as it's still unclear at this time what the circumstances are.
All right, that was actually today, you guys. All right, the second mini video.
Cancer in children. And thus proving what we all know is true, which is that the left will protest anything that Donald Trump does, including being in favor of toxic algae, which we learned today that with President Trump's reflecting pool beautification project, libs are out literally protesting on behalf of the algae. They have Team Algae shirts. They went and made that. We need to cut off all welfare. We have to do more to get rid of NGOs and all welfare. We didn't used to have this problem. These people didn't used to be able to live or eat or pay rent, but now there are libtards that have the time in their day and the extra money to go out and make algae's smarter than MAGA protests.
Let's go, algae! Let's go, algae! Let's go! Let's go, algae! Let's go! Algae! Let's go,
This is real.
algae! Let's go!
Okay.
Let's go, algae! God sent the algae! Don't play God! Don't play God! God sent the algae! God sent the algae! God sent the algae!
They're trying to put those people in charge of our country. Those people, there are millions of Americans that vote to put those people in charge of the nation every single year. This is one of my all-time favorite Donald Trump memes. The liberal tears that he is filling the reflecting pool with. You'll remember there was a massive reflection pool project. And, well, now it is ground zero for libtards to go and commit acts of terrorism against the nation, which is all they know how to do. Another threatening message appeared in Washington, D.C., this time newly painted reflecting pool before the Lincoln Memorial. 8647 was painted at the bottom of the pool. Fantastic. 8647 was also stamped into the lawn. You can see here the 8 and the 6 and the 4 and the 7. Very rough outlines. I'm not sure how they were able to do this, but they killed the grass in order to say, kill Donald Trump right in front of the Washington Monument. Libs are terrorists, and they have nothing to live for, and they don't make good choices that leads to longevity or fulfilled lives. And so now this is what they're doing.
The next one will be a 15-minute video on the new Air Force One, you guys. There's a new video out.
See here, 8647 right there in the new reflecting pool. And now they're doing multiple arrests. There have been multiple arrests made for vandalizing the pool. National Park Service was trying to do repairs, but they have found vandalized sections of the actual pool itself. And now they have workers around the clock trying to finish the pool, but liberals have a vested interest in destroying it to try and bring shame to their nation. See here from Nick Sotor that the National Park Police are out having to patrol the reflecting pool in order to stop libtards from going and protesting and sabotaging one of the nation's most beautiful locations that Donald Trump just wanted to clean all of the pond scum out of. Yet another deranged leftist has been arrested for tampering with the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. He attempted to grab a hose out of the employee's hand. Where is the legacy media? Here we go. Here is libtard getting arrested.
What's happening?
Of course, the biker.
You know, I think that's really funny. I think that's very funny.
Hey, Fargo. Hope you have a good Saturday. Quiet and chat today.
So they're arresting libtards on bikes. National Guard troops are monitoring Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool like hawks after a man was arrested for jumping in the pool and ripping the sealant off the bottom. Deranged libs are literally vandalizing the pool in order to get Trump. You can see here where they ripped the sealant off the bottom of the pool. And they are cleaning the algae out because there are decades of algae in the actual pool itself. I just can't believe it. Looks like a clean cut. Somebody is vandalizing the reflecting pool. You can see here a perfect cut line right there. The libs are going up and cutting and slicing off the new paint at the bottom of the reflecting pool. So they're just committing vandalism against, I mean, it's just a matter of time before these people go and start like taking chunks out of the Lincoln Memorial or the Jefferson Memorial or the Washington Monument or, oh wait, they already did this during the BLM riots. Sabotage of the reflecting pool. It's pathetic how desperate the left is. New underwater video taken shows a clean-cut section of the lining is lifted without evidence. It appears to be deliberate sabotage. Polyurethane doesn't naturally fail like this. My original point stands, not widespread paint failure. One targeted spot. The coating fixed the real problem, chronic leaks. What should be the punishment for vandalism? National Guard and U.S. Park Police are on patrol because of reports of pieces of the reflecting pool being ripped up for souvenirs. Second person has been arrested at the reflecting pool again today. Meanwhile, CNN has no time to spend on billions in Medicaid fraud across the nation, California's third world stolen elections, crimes by criminal illegal aliens, or the COVID cover-up that we learned about. They do, though, have time to stand here and to do water tests at the Lincoln Memorial.
It creates a situation where opportunistic algae can really...
Okay, we got somebody new on here, so I don't know if he's a troll or not, but welcome, James. Just be respectful. Thank you for coming in and getting your opinion on things. Just hope you like my channel and just be respectful. Thank you. Okay. I couldn't play Mel. They stopped it at the halfway mark. It was 30 minutes and they didn't let me
take advantage of the situation.
The renovations, which started in April and finished last week, cost more than $14 million.
$14 million. Hold on. Are you kidding me? Like, I know, right? That's a lot of money to a single person. Do you realize we're $40 trillion in debt as a country? Do you realize that something like $500 billion was sent to Ukraine? Billion? There's a Somali fraudster that stole $50 million from the American taxpayers with fake daycares. $50 million. So that's 5 times this project. CNN didn't cover that. $14 million.
A far cry from the $1.8 million first expected, and included at least one no-bid contract. There were a series of functional fixes, including repairing leaks and installing a filtration system for the first time to help clean the water.
And we're going to scoop up a water sample to see if we can get this tested.
You're joking.
CNN independently took the sample of water and consulted with a pool store that regularly tests water to help read the results. It showed phosphate levels far higher than what is recommended to keep algae at bay based on estimates for a pool that holds 6.5 million gallons of water.
If there's already some phosphate fertilizer in the water, that's really opportunistic, especially for the blue-green algae that could...
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. No coverage of Carmelo Anthony. No coverage of Henry Novak.
I'd like to ask what state you're from.
No coverage of the beheading in the UK. No coverage of
I guess
the
you're not
rape
going to say
inquiry.
hi.
But CNN is sending their intrepid reporters, not to Minneapolis, to cover all the fraud.
Must be a troll.
Not to cover all of the Eric Swalwell allegations. But no, to get water. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing here. Got it. Great. Not the SPLC, not Act Blue. Nope. This.
Have a good
Jumped
day,
in the
Cam.
reflecting pool today.
We'll see you tonight.
All these crowds around, cut out a huge piece of the blue sealant and tried to get away, but he was arrested.
Crazy. Crazy. Dude jumped in and cut out the sealant. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, pray for these people and also pray that they're arrested. They are clearly a harm to our society and to themselves. Imagine being this angry about a reflecting pool. This is Trump derangement syndrome. Team Algae. Yeah, for real. It's your boy Benny. See you.
Okay, that is. Thanks, Barney. Can you keep an eye on him? Thanks. My next one is I'm gonna play out the phone because I can't play it. They won't let me bring it up. What the heck is this guy doing? Saying, I don't know about this one. Finally, going. Don't like what he's doing. I guess I can't play his video. All right, I'm going to go on. I got a 2-minute one. Oh, wait. Let's play this guy. 7 minutes.
LT for $279 a month, or for GM employees with an eligible lease, pay $249 a month. Chevy Detroit. Together, let's drive.
Your perfect domain is out there. Go to Wix and make it yours.
Well, the very necessary war with Iran is over. President Trump signed a peace deal.
5 minutes.
Is the deal good or bad? Well, that answer isn't as easy as you think. Because how you feel about the peace deal depends on which sheep farm you live in. Let's break it down into 3 categories for you. If you're new MAGA, you feel happy. This is a total victory for Trump. If you're a Zionist Israel supporter, you're angry about peace because you want more killing for Israel. That's probably good. And if you have common sense, you're pissed because we started a war that never should have happened. Nonetheless, this peace deal is a terrible deal for the U.S., but it's a good idea to sign the terrible deal because the alternative of more war is an even worse deal. And there's a bonus category number 4. If you're a liberal, then how you feel is you didn't even know there was a war because you've been intently focused on affirming your gender this whole time. So how you feel is going to be one of those 4. And tonight we'll bring you the laughable details of the peace deal. We'll see who's angry, but more fascinatingly, we'll see some people celebrating this as a major win for the U.S. and Trump coming up tonight. It's like if someone's team lost the Super Bowl 50-0 and you're watching them celebrate like they won. Good evening and welcome to We Lie to You News. How is this a major victory? And what is Israel just going to have to be responsible for itself now? That country is like a demented child. And we'll get to that. But first, Trump just signed the peace deal to end the war with Iran in France at a dinner hosted by the French President Macron and his wife. Now, given that the whole war was gay, the terms of the deal are gay, it was only fitting that it be signed in a pretty gay place surrounded by pretty gay people. So they did that. Now, how is the deal a major win? Well, for that, we have to look to the same people who defended Trump in covering up the Epstein files, who get their talking points from the administration, aka New MAGA. Here they are. Jack Posobiec says this. Boom. President Trump has officially brokered another peace deal. This ends the conflict with Iran, Israel, and the Middle East.
This is a new
At what
channel
point
here.
does he
Shout
get
out
the
to-
Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, what's his name, man?
He actually tweeted that. No, he doesn't do satire. He does what he thinks is for real. Anyway, well said, Jack. Probably should get the Nobel Peace Prize for a war he started. And Trump brokered the
Awaken
deal.
with
You're right about that,
JP
Jack.
channel.
He is the
Shout out.
president and literally the only person who has the authority to do that. So, praise be to Trump. You know, it's kind of like if a house was on fire, the only person who could get the job done is the fire chief. He tells his firefighters to put the fire out. They do. And of course, the fire chief should be celebrated, even though he was also the arson. And he agreed to pay for you to pay for the damages to the house that his fire caused. So that's the same. This just in. Trump has agreed to pay Iran $300 billion for war damages. That's a very exciting part of the peace deal. More on those winning terms in a minute. So yeah, winning indeed. Thanks, New MAGA. Now let's hear about the peace deal from the Zionist Israel First crowd. Ben Shapiro, what do you got for us on the peace deal, buddy?
I'm noticing that Mohammed Khalibaf, who will apparently on Friday be literally in a photo op with the Vice President of the United States. I cannot express to you how stomach turning that is.
Ben, I'm sorry your tummy hurts because there's a peace deal and a photo op.
I run a podcast solo. No producer, no editor, no tech skills, just Riverside. I get high quality podcast recordings right from my room.
Could you tell us more about your tummy ache?
I don't care who the Vice President is. I don't care who the President is. Leaders of the United States of America in a photo op with a mass murdering terrorist.
Ben, I agree. Seeing a leader of the United States of America shaking hands with a mass murdering terrorist makes my stomach turn too. Thanks for the input, Ben. People care what you have to say. Now, before we get to the terms of the peace deal, let's check in with a liberal to get their take on the Iran peace deal.
You have to stop asking me if I'm a man or a woman, because if my dad is a man and my mom's a woman, that would mean that I'm mixed.
Thanks for the insight. Now, what are the terms of the peace deal? Well, let's go through these fast so you don't get too depressed. Before the war, Iran didn't have nukes, according to our intel agencies. But now with the peace deal following the war, they will still not have nukes. So that's a win. And the Strait of Hormuz will be open, as it was before the war, except now Iran will be able to charge a toll on ships, which will generate $10 billion of revenue for Iran each year. That's a win. And Trump will unfreeze $25 billion of Iranian funds that we've been holding. So they'll have that. There's another win right there. And Trump has agreed for the U.S. to pay Iran $300 billion of our money to compensate them for war damages. That's a win. Those are some big-time winning terms of the peace deal. Let's hear more about this winning from Jack Posobiec. Historic winning, the best Iran deal that's ever been made. Compared to the deal Obama made with Iran in 2015 to Trump's 2026 deal, Obama unfroze $1.6 billion of funds. Trump unfroze $25 billion of funds for them, plus gave them an extra $300 billion to top it off. So I say the Trump loyalist is right. Trump's is the best Iran deal ever made for Iran. Now, you might not have seen this. Trump has clapped back at his critics of this deal. These fools who think I haven't been tough enough on Iran, the stock market just hit a record high. Got him. Trump owned those morons right there. Don't think I've been tough enough on Iran. Well, the stock market just hit a record high. That is the same amount of compelling as Pam Bondi. You don't think we've been tough enough on Epstein criminals? Well, the Dow is above 50,000. Like, some people think they have a valid concern with human life and injustice, but are completely oblivious to how a well-performing stock market solves their concern that doesn't have anything to do with the stock market. Now, as this war is closing out on an incredible high note, you might have a memory of Trump promising no more wars. Miss Justin! Trump never said that. It's a false memory. Take a look.
What changed? Because you insisted no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war.
See, he never said that. You just have a bad memory.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all.
He never said that. That's it for today's news. If you're a Trump loyalist, enjoy your victory. And if you're an Israel loyalist, enjoy fighting the war on your own. You'll get what you deserve. And if you have common sense, at least it's over. And if you're a liberal, enjoy cutting your penis off. Good night. Man, I'll tell you, with these wars, politics is stressful. Might try some of that penis cutting off.
I don't know about that one towards the end. Flying Eagle, was that one okay? Till the end? If he wouldn't have said that. Sorry about that ending there, you guys. All right, we're going to play the first video of the new till the end. I won't. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that channel.
But to become Air Force One,
15 on
she will need to undergo a dramatic metamorphosis.
Air Force One serves as a command center because we have so much military equipment and other things on, equipment that I don't even talk about. But the new Air Force One has absolutely finer systems, state of the art.
To elevate the new 747 to the highest of military standards, technicians have to integrate high-tech communications and military defense systems. And at the same time, recast the plane's interior, enveloping it in VIP luxury. Revealing just what it will take to make the new Air Force One a flying fortress. Against the stark backdrop of the Mojave Desert rises the future Air Force One. Compared to the existing Air Force One, this epic 747-8 is a huge technological leap forward. At 250 feet, it is the longest passenger plane on the planet. Its massively extended upper deck gives the plane over 20% more floor space. The interior is bigger than an NBA basketball court. Its wide wings with revolutionary carbon fiber, saber-shaped wingtips angle at 37.5 degrees. This new shape not only allows the enormous plane to fly faster, but also take off and land on extremely short runways. 4 GE next-generation engines power it up to nearly Mach 1, making this the fastest passenger jet aircraft on Earth. But transforming this colossus into Air Force One presents an enormous challenge, which rests on the shoulders of this man, Bob Fuchs.
A brand new 747 airplane. It's going to come with new technology, new capabilities that we're going to turn into something very presidential.
Bob is performing a last-minute inspection on the plane before she flies to San Antonio, Texas, where she will receive her military makeover.
So as you can imagine, Most of the interior of the airplane is going to be transformed, but one of the things that we thought would be nice to stay with the airplane design was this staircase. It's quite different from the current Air Force One staircase, and we felt it'd be a good option to keep.
With the inspection complete, the pilots prepare for takeoff.
All looks good, everybody's happy, we'll fly.
Yep, we'll see.
To become a military machine, this plane must defeat missiles, withstand nuclear radiation, serve as a flying White House, and provide secure communications for the president to run the country. When it lands at a high security facility in Texas, its transformation into the most important plane in the world will begin. In San Antonio, Texas, the future Air Force One is joining her identical twin in a highly secure hangar. For the new Air Force One, President Trump suggested a more modern luxury look. Current designs include a queen bed in place of the fold-out single beds, a larger TV, and more room for seating.
Just walking through right now, inspecting all the ceilings, looking for any fingerprints or dirt. Right now we're walking into the president's bathroom, just double checking everything that's been cleaned. Looking at the mirrors for any streaks, chrome surfaces for any water spots or fingerprints. We'll even check the alignment of the towels. Everything looks good.
Though the plane's specific layout is restricted over security concerns, the chief flight attendant, Matt, lets us in on a little secret.
We always keep this door shut whenever that front door is open and the door 1L is open, just so to kind of keep the office sterile, if you will. So anytime the president comes on board, I stand here, I open the door, he comes in, and I shut the door behind him.
He does this to ensure the president always has privacy from prying eyes.
My job is also just to give a quick quality check of the office to make sure he has everything he needs. His glasses.
The presidential office. The medical bay. The president's conference room.
10 minutes.
Plans are being developed to modernize the new plane's medical bay. It will feature the latest medical technology, include an office area, and even be equipped for emergency surgical procedures. But as the president chooses his brand new design scheme for Air Force One's exterior, the most dramatic transformations are still in store. To make this possible, a legion of technicians must tread very carefully with classified plans as they work in front of the cameras.
The level of secrecy is pretty high. Yeah, I can say that, right? We're going to be removing some of the components from the flight deck. Everything's coming out. These control panels, these circuit breaker panels, all this wiring, it's all being replaced with new wiring.
With heavy metal shielding, the new wiring will withstand electromagnetic interference, allowing the plane to continue operating as the flying White House, even in the event of a nearby nuclear explosion. But with over 1 million feet of new cable to install, Jacob's got his work cut out.
They don't tell us the small secrets of what we need to push or pull to install certain things. We're the first people to do it.
All right, Brett, you take the left seat there. Okay. All right, so welcome to the 747-8.
To prepare for the 747-8's all-digital cockpit, Deputy Presidential Pilot Brett is at Boeing Commercial Airline Headquarters in Seattle, training on the new Air Force One's flight simulator. To militarize this civilian plane and turn it into the flying fortress that will become Air Force One, the team must carry out a risky procedure, cutting into the aircraft's body. It's to prepare for the installation of top-secret defense and communications systems, and National Geographic has been granted special access to document it. First, they map out where exactly to cut into the fuselage. And what's been keeping them up at night are the two massive new presidential entrances. Getting big cuts like these wrong and the damage to the plane could be very costly.
The first major activity as we begin the modification will be to cut two large sections out of the aircraft, both at the rear and at the front. These sections will be replaced with new sections containing both new doors and air stairs that allow entry of the president and passengers as well as exit.
As on the existing Air Force One, it's a security requirement that the president, guests, and crew be able to disembark, if necessary, using internal stairs. Even stripped of its engines and components, this behemoth aircraft still weighs a staggering 350,000 pounds. Any cuts into the fuselage could result in it bending, causing serious misalignment. To avoid this disaster, manufacturing manager Todd Carlson is working with a one-of-a-kind cradle to relieve the stress on the plane.
To prepare the next Air Force One for some of the major changes that are becoming, we want to make sure that we have the aircraft jacked and off the ground, as you can see with the wheels turning. And also we've got these yellow braces all along the belly of the aircraft from nose to tail, wing to wing. You want it to be almost in a zero gravity state as you're going through the build.
This custom-built cradle uses a sophisticated hydraulic system that renders even this Goliath plane effectively weightless. The smallest change in weight is counterbalanced through adjustments in each hydraulic piston.
We'll monitor our weights. As you can see, this one jumps a little bit as people are coming in and off the aircraft. We'll monitor those to make sure that we're staying within our range. And when we go to make our big cuts in the aircraft, that the aircraft is properly supported. It's not going to twist. It's not going to bend.
With all the groundwork in place, the team is on pins and needles as they get ready to make the first big cuts. Before installing the doors and the air stairs, technicians carry on with the military makeover, cutting 68 smaller holes to load in the advanced communications and air defense systems. As a proxy for the cabinet room in the West Wing, Air Force One's conference room will get a dramatic facelift. And this is what it could look like. The larger windows of the 747-8 will illuminate its bigger space and modern look. Armed with high-tech communications, it will also serve as a situation room. Expanding on these restricted galleys will be two big kitchen areas, almost double the size. With designs like this, modeled on the very latest VIP luxury jets, they'll have all the equipment needed, not just to reheat prepared meals, but also to cook fresh food. In a dramatic upgrade from the 30-year-old medical technology, the new high-tech ER will be much bigger.
About
3D modeling envisions a surgical table with equipment able to handle dire medical emergencies,
I got an 8-minute
from strokes
video next.
to assassination attempts. Cutting-edge health monitors and a large pharmacy will deal with practically any health emergency facing the president, his guests, or staff. And though Nancy Reagan's Southwestern designs will go, the stylish new bedroom will feel more spacious with a touch of 5-star comfort, accessible only to the president, first lady, security detail, and chief flight attendant. But the presidential stars on the carpet will remain. The wooden look of the current office will be modified into a much more modern, modular office. As the airborne Oval Office, it's from here the president will address the nation. But the most visible transformation could be to the exterior of Air Force One. President Trump decided to move away from the 1962 colors that are still used today.
Now we have I think it's a stronger system, and it's red, white, and blue, but it's the color blue on the American flag, which is a darker color. We have a plane that will represent us for a long time and very well.
Though the plane's trademark lettering will remain the same, the president considered 4 different color schemes: a choice of blue or white engines, and gray or white center lines. This is President Trump's preferred choice. With modification, testing, and extended support, her total cost is expected to be $5.3 billion. But as a symbol of a nation, some believe these efforts to create a bold new flying White House are worth every penny.
I view this as something to do with legacy. Every time I look at it, I'll say, I had a lot to do with it. Just really a representation of our great country.
Air Force One has safely completed her mission and returns home to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland.
Well, there you have it, the first video.
Once the militarized planes are ready to take to the skies, they will be flight tested for 2 full years.
What can we do with the next flying White House with a larger airplane and the latest technology? I think it's a good prospect for the nation and for the next president.
Work on the 2 planes will continue under President Biden's administration. And though some design elements may change, in 2024, the next generation Air Force One will be delivered to the nation.
All right. Never saw that. So the next one is 8, but I got the guy, what's his name? He came out the other day. It's about 6 minutes. And then we'll go back and do an 8. Nope. This one. You guys did I play this one or not? I can't remember.
Basis. Look what it says. Blockchain wins. USA Treasury. 50 state credit union banks. And I put money on it that most people saw this image and thought it was just some type of conspiracy, some psyop. But look at what just happened. The Federal Reserve, OCC, FDIC, FinCEN, and NCUA all just jointly proposed rules for stablecoin issuers. And no, this isn't about them spying on you. This is about bringing stablecoins under the same standard that banks and credit unions already operate under. Because if you think about this logically, institutions won't be moving trillions of dollars into a system that doesn't have identity, that had no compliance, and definitely with no accountability. Read what they're saying. Customer Identification Program, KYC, AML, Bank Secrecy Act requirements. They are creating this whole entire regulated framework so that institutions can safely issue and use stable coins. That right there is massive. And it isn't about crypto replacing America. This is actually America rebuilding its financial infrastructure in blockchain rails. And then now you start asking yourself, who is really building all of this? Identity, infrastructure, authentication, stable coins, private subnet, payments, custody, compliance. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is literally the stack that Metallicus has been building this whole entire time. Then you have the metal dollar coming out and saying that these proposed rules reinforce the models that they have been designing since the beginning. Just think about that. The regulations aren't forcing them to change. The regulations are moving toward the model that they have built. And where is Metallicus right now? Well, ladies and gentlemen, they are launching pilot programs for 50 state credit unions to explore stablecoins and digital assets. Now let's go back to the debt clock. 50 state credit union banks? Look, at minimum, it's an interesting coincidence. At maximum, it suggests that the direction of this whole entire infrastructure is headed toward is traveling in that direction and is powering the new financial system to be integrated into these credit unions. So when people hear KYC and customer identification, they immediately panic and say, they're watching us. But they're missing the bigger picture, because banks and credit unions already have identification requirements. The difference now is that blockchain technology can potentially bring payments, assets, and money movements into a transparent, programmable rail while remaining inside of a regulated framework. This conversation isn't about surveillance, it's about trust, compliance, and the possibility of monetizing the financial infrastructure in the United States. The debt clock said blockchain wins, right? Well, maybe the message was never about just one coin. Maybe it was about a whole entire infrastructure. And right now, blockchain, stablecoins, and credit unions are all starting to converge. This is why it's so important to know what you hold.
So that's the latest one. Him and that one lady hasn't been showing the debt clock, lady, or the debt clock. Hey, this is the 8-minute one. Anyone see this one yet?
One, timeline slipping and scientific incoherence. At the Code Conference in 2016, Elon first promised that he would have a mission to Mars within the next 24 months, so by 2018. By September that year, still in 2016, that had slipped already, and he was stating he could get the first flight by 2022. Then in September 2017, he said that he was aiming for 2024. 2018 came and left with 0 SpaceX missions launched to Mars. And then 2020 came and left with 0 SpaceX missions launched to Mars. 2022, still no space mission to Mars. And by 2024, he posted on X saying that it would actually be 2026. And we are now over halfway through 2026, still no Mars. Now, the SpaceX website says there will be nothing earlier than 2028. Elon cannot go to Mars. The science, NASA's own science, proves this. The radiation alone kills the crew in transit. NASA has a career radiation limit for astronauts. It is a hard ceiling across the astronaut's entire career because exposure to radiation literally makes you die of painful cancer. That limit that NASA sets, you burn through it just on the way out, never mind getting back. This is confirmed in a 2025 peer-reviewed study published in Nature Scientific Reports. You don't get to go twice, you might not get back, and you will barely survive going once. And if there happens to be any kind of solar flare or solar event, then that would deliver a lethal dose in seconds. And you have no warning, they're incredibly unpredictable, and there's no material on Earth that we have yet found that is adequate at shielding from these blasts. In 2018, NASA published research in Nature Astronomy. This research confirmed that terraforming Mars is not possible with any of our present-day technology, and it cannot become possible under any foreseeable development they're aware of. Mars's atmosphere is 0.6% the pressure of Earth's. Mars does not have an atmosphere, and it never will. The surface temperatures on Mars are average minus 63 degrees Celsius. Mars has no magnetic field. Cosmic rays and solar radiation hit the surface of Mars continuously. That radiation will kill you. You are not safe inside of a structure. We do not have any material or technology that can shield you from the explosive radiation of the sun. Colonizing Mars is literally incompatible with the laws of physics. You will never be able to live on Mars. It's not possible. But every rocket that gets launched in the attempt is making this planet less habitable. The Falcon 9 burns RP1 kerosene. Every single launch of one of these rockets is injecting black carbon, soot, directly into the upper stratosphere. Black soot from rockets that gets deposited in the upper stratosphere doesn't go anywhere. You can't rain it out. It's literally building up. It will block out the sun, which I think is what Mr. Burns wants. This kind of stratospheric soot is approximately 500 times more potent as a climate forcing agent. Just emitted further up, kills us worse and faster. Yay! What a visionary. SpaceX conducted 329 orbital launches in 2025. Every single one of those launches deposited more black carbon into the stratosphere. Researchers at UCLA published in Earth's Future in May 2026 that the global space sector, which is driven overwhelmingly by SpaceX's launch cadence, will release approximately 870 tons of stratospheric soot by 2029. That is a lot of soot in not a long time at all. Then there's the Starlinks. So Starlinks should be heavily regulated and monitored because they are made from critical minerals. Starlinks are made from aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you live. Tinfoil hats. It's actually a finite critical mineral, and we need it for the hats, right? We need the tinfoil. We need it for more than just hats. We need it in ventilators, surgical equipment. It's used in cars. It's used in manufacturing. It's even used for cans, which we probably could be not doing that as well. Aluminium is refined from bauxite ore. It's not sustainable. It will run out, and the process of refining it is incredibly toxic. For every single ton of aluminium that gets produced and put into a Starlink, 1 to 2.5 tons of red mud is also generated. This is caustic, highly alkaline waste slurry with a pH as high as 13.8. If you fall in it, it'll kill you. And it's dissolving the ground and leaking into the water basin wherever there's a plant like this, including Limerick, Ireland. Already, 4 billion tons of this caustic red mud sit in containment ponds that we don't know what to do with. It cannot be easily treated. It cannot be released. It has to be monitored. It kills all life on contact. It leaches into the ground. It contains arsenic, chromium, lead, mercury. There are 80 of these plants all operating right now, producing more and more red mud every day to feed demand for aluminium from arseholes like this. The issue with the Starlinks is not even that they're made of aluminium, is that they are deliberately designed to burn up on re-entry. This is not a necessity. It's not a product failure. It's not the only engineering option that was available. It is technically possible for you to land a Starlink and recycle it. But Elon doesn't do that because planned obsolescence. Why would he do that when he can charge the American government for new materials? These are designed for demise. The engineering of a satellite that will completely vaporize on atmospheric re-entry rather than leaving physical debris on the ground. Except let's just quickly correct that framing. Rather than leave physical debris on the ground, rather than have to land them safely and collect your debris, you littering fuck. SpaceX has no incentive to optimize Starlinks for recovery and recycling, because retrieving, recycling, or refurbishing old Starlinks does not make them the most money. And so, as a business decision, not a technical necessity, SpaceX replaces the entire Starlink constellation every 5 years. This is so incredibly arrogantly wasteful. Imagine doing that with finite resources and then going and having an army of children. You are literally eating your own kids. It's like Kronos, but for stupid people. The worst part is Elon knows all this. He has a physics degree. SpaceX is not a legitimate company. It is a money laundering vehicle that is murdering people. Conducting an industrial operation at the scale SpaceX operates, knowing that the physical byproducts of that operation degrade our breathable air and give people cancer, and continuing anyway is not negligence. The research was published. The mechanism was explained repeatedly. The projections are modeled. SpaceX cannot pretend that it is not aware that the science on this is clear. It is murderous. Yet they are knowingly accelerating this process that will kill people, people who cannot consent to the risk, who cannot protect themselves from it, and who will possibly not even understand that the source of their cancer was Elon, possibly are the very ones who are most manipulated into buying this hot potato stock. Forget not buying his stock. He's trying to kill you. Respond accordingly.
Okay, that's the new lady on TikTok. I hope that one's okay for everybody. I got some short ones now. I got DJ, a short one. Here. I don't know if we played this one or not.
National security strategy is 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 10 years ago that was issued. Where's quote unquote Joe's from 2022? Why can't the Department of the archive page, why can't they archive it? If quote unquote Joe was real, why can't they archive the 2022 national security strategy? Because it's not real. It's not there. 2018, 2019, the Army, they started announcing in 2017 and 2018, they started announcing it in our publications on military.com and things like that most Americans you're not following because you're not military, you wouldn't know about it. They started saying that the Army is spending $572 million for our next wars will be in mega cities, but not inside them, beneath them. Do you hear what that's saying, ladies and gentlemen? That's not just talking about foreign. They're saying in mega cities, not inside them, but beneath them. That's subterranean warfare. The first president in United States history who established a strategy for underground, which is trafficking, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, is President Trump. That's why it's stupid out there. Oh, swear jar, said it. That's why it's stupid out there when you got people out there. There's a certain group of people, they'll say, oh, Derek Johnson's involved with trafficking and mafia. Ladies and gentlemen, I have my credentials through the current Department of War, which is President Trump, Department of War. I have current credentials. All right. Plus, outside of that, whether you believe that or not, I have a Department of War identification number, which because I'm retired, and because I'm retired, I still fall under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which means I can be courts-martialed, all right, which is military courts, a lot worse than anything civil, federal, etc. So that, and if you just don't believe any of that and all the other stuff that you get shown and all these things, you can't buy this anywhere, by the way. But if you just don't want to believe any of that, just by simple measures being a veteran, all right, by simple measures being a veteran, and then a face. I'm all over, transparent, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly at this point. You got to be a low IQ moron. I'm using all my swears now. I just have to. You got to be a low IQ individual to say such a thing, or you just want clicks because you're desperate. And the best thing to do is attack President Trump or attack me, and poof, it happens, right? So underground, I have all my key credentials to the same entities that implemented these strategies. And I know teams that are operating in those fields, in those elements, in those environments. And I've been in photos with your key guys, Sheriff Lamb, Tom Homan. And so this is why this is baffling. If I was somebody like that these low IQ, low hanging fruit, living in their mama's basement, all right, if I was, then you got to be laughing your rear end off over there that the very biggest names in everything, and I'm just floating around. Come on, people. So President Trump's the first to establish the strategy for underground warfare. It's subterranean warfare. And there's date-specific things. Now watch this. All of you Israel haters out there, well, you look just like my swear words. But there's a thing called Shaping the Deep Fight. It's called Operational Implications for the 21st Century Subterranean Warfare. Conflict. There's that word conflict again. What did President Trump just say in his press conference yesterday? He said, I used the words and the terminology military operation and military conflict purposely. Well, you probably might want to go check out the Law War Manual and see what it says about conflict. You might want to go check out military government, military law and precedents, what it talks about conflicts and operations. And you'll know why he lawfully says that, because that is a proclamation. That's him proclamating again that I'm saying this because it's not a war. And it's not a war at all. It's all an operation. Guess what the most recent archive...
Okay, the first DJ there. I got that one lady on TikTok. I don't think I played her yesterday, so because we didn't have a night one, but I can't remember if we played it. But it's 9 minutes, and then that's gonna end it for till 7 o'clock, you guys. A lot of good stuff out so far, and got a lot more for tonight. I got the two older ladies, one with 24 and 14-minute one. They both got a video out, so we'll play that tonight. This is a new lady on TikTok. I can't find a cat lady yet. Hopefully she'll be out tonight.
That are unconstitutional and destructive to the people, their lives, their liberty, their property. I'm going to tell you how bad this document is. This Senate Bill 3X that's come out of the inner swamp, ignorant minds of people who live close to me. One is Senator Max Burns of the 23rd, Walker the 3rd of the 20th, Anna Vitarte of the 31st, Robertson of the 29th, Still of the 48th, and others unnamed. Isn't that special? So this is an amendment to Chapter 2 of Title 21 Georgia Election Code. And remember, we're supposed to live in the United States where the Constitution requires loyalty, but none of these people are loyal to the Constitution. They don't even care. I don't even think they can actually read the law. So when you say things like federal preemptive law, necessary and proper, all they think is, can we get some money for that? Can we, isn't this good for somebody? Can we use a special interest group to kind of promote this? Yeah. So what they want to promote is basically a state level election assistance commission where they can determine the election equipment specifications and standards that meet Georgia's level of excellency. Maybe that's like the British form of excellency. Okay, now they want to establish the standards. I'm sorry, you can't do that because Congress spoke in 1899. There are only two ways to vote for U.S. Rep, and that is by printed or written ballot or voting machine, and that's lever voting machine, guys. So you can stop saying the words voting machine because you don't even want to look up Georgia Code 21-2-2 sub 40, which says that it is a mechanical device, also known as a lever voting machine. If you need something more in the popular press, just go and look up the article from the Atlantic that shows you a picture of what a lever voting machine is. We don't have that. We have voting systems outside of Article 1. The Election Assistance Commission was funded with billions of dollars in 2002 by Big GW Bush. And it was, in response to a thank you gift, basically, to cover little Jeb's rear end, because they had worked together to do the 2000 Bush v. Gore chaos. And little Jeb had used punch card voting systems outside of federal law. It says any vote received or recorded outside of this section shall be of no effect. So they're like, shh, the votes were of no effect, but we're going to cause a global conspiracy about the hanging chads. Whew. They needed John Ashcroft, the Missourians, Paul De Gregorio. They needed Harry Howry and other fine spooks to handle it. But this is about the worst piece of garbage I've ever seen in my life. They want to have a committee composed of 3 electors. I'd like to volunteer to be one of the electors on this committee. You know what I'd do on the committee? As soon as I was put on the committee, I would motion that the committee be shut down because it would be against the Constitution to use tax dollars to scheme to put into our places of election something against federal law. So that would be my first motion. Hello. I motion that the committee be adjourned permanently. And if you don't want to do that, I will report you all to the federal law enforcement for acts of overthrow, sedition, and you guys can just go to jail. So I really want to be picked.
He's pretty good.
Can you guys put in a good word for me? Anybody watching this, just write into the governor's office. Also, 3 members of the Senate and 3 members of the House. And it says the committee may seek advisement from, but shall not be limited to, the elections director of the Secretary of State's office or his designee, the executive director of the state election board, the Georgia Association of Voter Registration and Election Officials, cybersecurity experts, and accessibility or disability experts. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. I have to show you something. Okay, this is the Georgia Association of Voter Registration and Election Officials. You guys, this is at an accountant's office. This whole thing has
I might have played this, but it's good to replay it, I guess.
Using the principal office address of an accounting office. It's a corporation. You see it? Inc. See? So these are all going to be like corporate agents on the board. And I bet they're going to be, the famous people, the people that everybody thinks is so competent on elections. So by January 31st, 2027, the committee shall prepare a report, and it should involve appropriations, procurement, and implementation plans. Well, that's a huge problem because the Georgia auditor is an auditing from the level of federal law. So back in January of this year, I asked, this is Michelle Nichols, I said, your job is auditing compliance with higher laws and constitutions. As part of your auditing process, I ask that you as auditor provide public documents outlining the federal congressional preemptions that your office has in document form and uses to check Georgia's compliance with longstanding federal election laws under U.S. Constitution Article 1 and the Elections Clause specifically. All right, so they send me like these huge reports on HAVA. I mean, like HAVA doesn't even matter. It's like a spending bill, like welfare. That's why there's like these iPads, like the size of like my refrigerator door that you walk in because it has nothing to do with basic rights of people. So I asked her and she said, I received information after doing a little digging on your question. Our office does not have any public records outlining federal preemptions. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. See, right here. All right, so this is bad because the manner of election was prescribed by Congress 125 years ago. The worst thing, perhaps, about this, so the Secretary of State is considered a constitutional executive officer at the state level, and they're trying to strip the Secretary of State from having any say in this whole thing. So that means Secretary of State can't uphold the Constitution and protect Georgians as a constitutional executive officer. Instead, the people that we're relying on are corporate appointees.
Yeah, everybody.
Basically. And then people from the Senate and House, and they're all corporate appointees. Many of them paid corporation to get on the plastic screen. So, you know, they're all bound up with conflicts of interest. So they're probably going to pick a bunch of them, probably the worst ones, as if the sponsors aren't already the worst ones. And then I think that there was some sort of deal made that some of the minority corporation, they call them parties, but they're really corporations. See, parties are associations. I've heard that some more were added. Let me get my lighter.
Yep, it's gonna burn it.
All right.
There she goes.
I'm gonna burn this thing. This is what you do to burn worthy documents. You burn them. You burn the ships, and you go back.
I never see nobody do that. Did you guys?
Make sure you tell the assembly what you think of SB 3EX. Have a good night.
That was good. Yeah, that's another one that we just started following her on TikTok. All right. Well, wow. A lot of good stuff on the first show. We'll see what we bring tonight. Right, Chico? Huh? See what we're going to bring tonight? All right. Thanks, Mods. And Carol, Lucy, Tim, Bingo, and KKK, and our new fur baby, Delta. And we'll see you all around 7 o'clock. God bless everybody. Love all of you. Please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, and keep faith. And never give up. What do you say, Chico? What do you say? Signing off, Chico, dude? Huh? Hit the like button? Huh? Don't forget to hit the like button. Go outside. Let's go outside. Oh. Huh. All right, we'll see you around 7.